Today, we're going to tell you about an explicit video divorce, and this entire tale is about a guy who had been married for 15 years and thought everything was fine in his marriage. He has 2 children. Everything is ok between him and his wife. And one day, he began to observe strange conduct on her part. She began to be quite protective about her phone. She began getting off the phone as soon as he entered the room. Many unusual things happened, and her behavior was plain abnormal. So, when she went out for a girls' night, he chose to follow her, and you'll see what he uncovered. She is having an affair with another married man, and instead of simply losing his mind over it, this guy schemes not only revenge on her and the guy he's cheating on her with, but also a means to ensure that he comes out on top in the divorce. I cried for an hour straight after I finished my wallowing phase. I concluded that getting even was the best course of action, and I imagined many scenarios in which I would beat that guy to a bloody pulp. Eventually, I decided to conduct things more civilly, and more crucially, legally. The first step in my strategy was to gather proof. I could have just hired a private investigator, but I had something better in mind. So, one day, while my wife was at work and the kids were at school, I put some small concealed cameras and microphones that I had lying around. Because of the layout of our bedroom, I even got one with a wonderful view of the bed. So, a few days pass. I should take the girls on a trip and a site that I will not reveal and stay a night or 2 at this point. I should also mention that due to her job, which is pretty demanding and frequently exhausting her, and just because of our various passions and talent, I was the primary caretaker. I was usually the one doing the cooking. I took a far more active role in raising the girls, showing them significantly more tolerance and attention. In parentheses, he says, I didn't spoil her or anything like that. So me going on a trip with the girls alone wasn't so strange. This will be significant later. So, 2 weeks pass, during which time I organize my affairs and hire a lawyer to draft a separation agreement in which I retain residency and custody. So, I go on the trip, try not to reveal anything to the girls, and wait to see if that guy and my wife fall into the trap. When I got home, I examined the weekend recordings, and sure enough, it's a 36-hour madness. When they weren't effing, the conversation was much better. Boyfriend had a wife, which I found out later, but it was even worse. You know, what was it? How I didn't satisfy her, and so on. There was some really awful stuff, like her telling boyfriend some of my deepest secrets and shameful stories that I had just told her about for a laugh. It's terrible that she's cheating on this guy after 15 years of marriage, and she thinks everything is fine. It's even worse that she's doing it in his own house, in his own bed, and even worse that she's talking trash about him, telling this guy things about him, his personal life, his secrets, and everything else that only she's supposed to know and trust. And they're making fun of him. So, trust me when I say she'll receive what she deserves in the end. So, I had no questions about what I would do the next day at this point. Before the kids departed, I confronted my wife with the film and warned her that either she signs the separation agreement and leaves the house, or the girls will be subjected to an in-depth description of all the orifices mommy received madness in. And now he claims I wasn't going to tell them that. To be clear, I like my daughters, but I posed that threat, and she was far too upset to notice. She went through the motions of denying everything, bargaining, threatening me, and becoming enraged. I let her go through all of it. She eventually signed the papers, and she left that evening. She also said her goodbyes to the girls. Talk about a well-thought-out strategy. That must have been the case. He certainly had to look at those films and have all that, but it's what he had to do to achieve what he wanted. And indeed, he did. Nevertheless, I did not show or tell the girls anything graphic. I was always open and honest with them, which is why I was always the favorite parent. My younger took a while to figure it out, but it was compensated for by my older becoming very furious. She'd just gotten her first boyfriend, and I'm not sure if the phrase really applies at that age. but she knew enough about the world to be irritated. This would be significant in a custody dispute, even if she did, for the time being, agree to get over custody. I was reasonable to be afraid that she might try to fight for me to receive the kids. What I didn't anticipate was her using her visitation rights to gossip about me. Basically, she began telling my younger daughter that it was entirely my responsibility for not forgiving her. He says one day, I sent the links. The guy I hired posted the footage and everything to, the hub. I gave the URLs to my wife's workplace, her clients, and everyone in her line of business, just to make sure that boyfriend's wife and him soon got a divorce. I feel bad for his wife because she was a helpless victim in all of this, but I think it's better that she found out. With my wife unemployed and effectively banned in her work as a result of being on the hub, my older telling my younger what to do since they wanted to stay with me, there was no doubt about who would obtain custody. This man was a wonderful husband. He felt everything was wonderful, and then noticed what she was doing. And it doesn't mention how long this affair lasted, but it was certainly long enough. That's why I tell you guys, if you're dating and picking up and hooking up and all that, don't get involved with another guy's women, whether it's a wife, fiancé, or girlfriend, because that's not cool. There are lots of other ladies out there. I don't care how attractive she is. I'm not interested in how hot her body is. Never do it on purpose.